Hello and welcome. You're tuned to the Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast, and we thank you for joining us as always. Our loyal, small but loyal fan base, growing. And
family base.
Family base. They hide us away on the website, so to find us there, to find the Leg Up. We appreciate you joining us each and every week, Stephen. A recap last week for us: Te Araha, Wanganui.
Yeah, the majority of the big guns ran up to beating expectations, should we say. Demonetisation, winning the Eagle Tech. Ran a nice figure overall. Paranui Bay beating the 3-year-olds.
Yeah, he was good, wasn't he? They read him positive.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it earlier in the day to me, and also on Twitter, saying there was just too much money to suggest that they'd be neutral or go back the way the track was playing. And they took him as the best horse in the field. Sat outside leader and was too good. And look, the margin wasn't there, but he got the job done. He'll progress towards Christmas and New Year. Gold Watch stepping up to open class for the very first time. Again, did the job there. I think it's 1-6 on the bounce now from memory. And the disappointment on Saturday, but also throughout the week, was Secura Blossom having to be retired. Bone chips, I believe.
Yeah, it's a shame.
So she's been taken out of all the feature sprints. But look, it's been a busy week in the office. We've had to open plenty of futures betting. Karaka Million, 2-year-old, Karaka 3-year-old Classic, and the 3 features from Trentham, the Telegraph, the Wellington Cup, and the Thorndon Mile. So plenty for punters to get stuck into.
It's that time of the year, isn't it? Good afternoon to you, BP. How's that Cliffy Goss? 90 years of age, 90 years young, and Gold Watch. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, wasn't it? And to see that horse win in a different fashion, that's what I like about it, is that he was in amongst horses. He came underneath runners to win, and he found himself in that right part of the track too, didn't he, out of Te Araha. So, great victory, and a horse that now sets himself up towards, to that ultimate goal of a Thorndon Mile. Yeah, you're right, around Paranui Bay was a race where they had to be positive, and that was the key part to the race, with him being positive and put into the race. And now we look forward to seeing him over the Christmas period. So, good day of racing, and really now every single Saturday is going to be a big Saturday, isn't it, with what's coming up towards that real big push towards Boxing Day and New Year's Day.
Yeah, every Saturday counts, doesn't it? Yeah.
Just a quick question. I'm pretty sure that Gold Watch is not nominated for the Thorndon Mile.
Is that right?
Okay.
So
what are the plans then?
Well, I thought the Thorndon Mile, working back from that, and possibly a Rich Hill over the Christmas New Year period at HQ. But I'm pretty sure he wasn't nominated. So
you would have priced it.
Yeah, I can't remember pricing him. Obviously, he would have been right in calculation in terms of the marketplace.
Okay.
I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
No, you'd be right, and we'll have to follow that up over the next wee while. Paul Mawadi, good afternoon to you, man. Barely standing. I'm sorry, Secura Blossom retired. It was a shame, but you've managed to return a few futures bets into people's accounts as a bonus bet. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks, Thad. Yeah, that's right. Sad news around Secura Blossom, but for those who did back in the railway through the future-proof promotion that we've got on futures win markets, you'll now find a bonus bet up to the value of $50 in your account. There are a few punters who had backed Secura Blossom in the railway futures win book. So, check your accounts if you did have a bet, because there'll be a bonus bet in there now for you.
Brilliant. And a big day at Trentham this Saturday, Paul. I think they might have a crowd on track. You wouldn't happen to be part of it, potentially?
I think I've been given the orange light, so I should be able to get there. Obviously, under the current sort of conditions we live in, there'll be some protocols that everyone has to follow. But yeah, looks like we might have a wee bit of a crowd on Captain Cook Day, and it'll be great to see.
Yeah, exactly. The fields match up for it as well, and the weather is going to be pretty good by all accounts. BP, I want to come back to you before we have a bit of a preview of what we can look forward to on Saturday and touch on your Maidener of the Week.
Yeah, thanks, Thad. Well, we're going to go to the River City in the very first race. I thought Gallion was the horse from the Harding barn, of course, for the Benner and Wynyard team. And boy, what a win. It was a horse that was back and wide, had to come the widest on the point of the bend. And gee, didn't he put them away? It was a very good win from a horse who I would have to say at one stage the wind didn't look on. I know leading up to that race that the reputation and the boom around this horse was massive. So he's one to look out for. He's a son of not a single doubt, and there seems to be more in store for this galloper.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to do it, Steve Gallion. He was sort of wide on the corner. He was back. It was sort of, I say, against the pattern, but he got home real strong, didn't he, Gallion?
Yeah, very impressive on the eye. The marketplace identified this horse early doors. He was well played on Saturday morning. When it came to the overall figure, it was bang on par for maiden class. 2 lengths off Candle's figure, which was produced in race 2, but again, from where he was in the position, and the overall figure is not everything. He was very good on the eye, as I mentioned. A 320k price at the ready-to-run sale. Just looking at the pedigree, the second dam was is out of Nuturo, a gun filly back in the day.
Postponed. On the Meta Breeders, or the Slipper, or the Breeders.
Yeah. Second is Sarton, good enough to run, I think, 5th in a 1,000 guineas. A question to you, Thaddeus.
Yes.
Nuturo, trained by
John Sargent.
Correct. That was not set up. That's a genuine question on the spot.
The only reason I remember that is because they absolutely gave us a bath at Meta when it won Nuturo. We got absolutely touched up. I think Sarge was fresh back from Singapore. Wouldn't have been
Malaysia,
too far back. Malaysia, and they didn't forget to back
before my time, but
you'll be pleased too.
Yeah, okay.
No, they didn't. Nuturo, terrible result. I can still remember those. You always remember your losers, don't you, BP?
Yeah, you do. Wow, the big bopper in town, when he was just to turn up and deliver. It was NGH on that one, or who was on Nuturo?
I think you're right.
He used to ride at Kuala Veloce.
He did.
Harris. He might have ridden Nuturo as well. Okay. So
we'll get back to that one. Yeah, no, that's right. Nuturo. You know, she was also she's in that family, that Gallion family.
Yeah, second dam Nuturo.
Okay.
Yeah. First dam Au Natural. So yeah, plenty of pedigree, and that's why they paid big money at the ready to run. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if it went on with the job and still a colt.
Still a colt as well. Yeah, no, very good Gallion. Brendan's Maiden of the Week, which have all been going very well and have been well worth following, guys. We've got some lovely racing this weekend. Both meetings stack up beautifully, Mudda and Trentham. Should we do the Group 1? Should we get, no further ado, should we get the Group 1 first?
Yeah, I think it's deserving.
Yeah, 100% it is. Trentham Race 8, Captain Cook Stakes, Ridges, Wellington Captain Cook Stakes, Steve, over the mile. Run us through this market.
You're headed by 2 illicit, $3.20, stepping up to the mile. Agon, intriguing runner, $4.20. Like, I wouldn't say it's friendless, but a price that I'm fascinated to see where it starts. Pre-defer 7 into 6.5. Travelling light $8, back to her happy hunting ground, you could say, when the Live-In Classic is a 3-year-old. Miss Tycoon Rose, 8 out to 10, the Southerner. Brando heavily played in the middle market, 17 into 14. Harlech, $15. House of Cartier, 17 out of turn to 8. Best of the rest, Bowden at 21. So, look, they're pretty keen on the fave, 2 illicit at 3.2, but Brando's a genuine move early doors, 17 to 14.
Great betting race, BP, this one. I mean, 2 illicit. I'm not going to say disappointing the third last time, but steps to a mile. And look, there's some depth to this field. It's a very good betting race, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good betting race, and a race I'm looking forward to on the weekend. Look, 2 illicit. I feel as though there was a little gold nugget on the 20th of November with her run when I spoke to Robert Wellwood. I think it was before the Cheaper Than Divorce race. And he just suggested that it was, 4 to 5 weeks between runs, 1,400 meters again. And I just felt as though there was that feeling that this was the race, they were setting up for. Not to say they weren't trying to win in that race at Te Rapa, but it was more so they were just had their reservations and possibly was going to be a touch vulnerable second up at 1,400 meters once again. And really, when you rewatch that race, that's how it's panned out, hasn't it? She's got back in an awkward spot when they were trying to go. She was off the bit, and then she's worked her way into the race. And the horses that have fought the race out have been the 2 on-speed runners. So I think her run holds so much merit. And now that she's going to 1,600 meters, this feels like this race is bang on. She seems to be in the right position to be winning it. She's drawn well. I find her awfully hard to beat. I really do. I think she's a bet, and I wouldn't be surprised if she even drops below that $3 mark. And I know that with the strength of this field, there's just so many question marks around Agon. I don't question the horse and the training ability. It's just, I guess, with where he's at right now, off the back of a couple of Australian preparations through the spring, and of course taking on the Golden Eagle. We know how good he is because he's won the Group 1 2,000 guineas, and now he won the 3-year-old. Karaka Million Classic, and even how he's performed in Sydney off the back of those performances. Just feel as though that Two Illicit's just in the gun spot for Saturday, and I think she is the one to beat, and Aegon a deserved second favourite.
Yeah, look, Steve, it'll be dictated. I mean, Two Illicit's price will pretty much be dictated about what happens around Aegon's price, I guess. It sort of, makes sense. And we're not seeing a lot of early money for Aegon. And if it is, say, friendless or drifts, maybe we will see under $3 around Two Illicit.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility. Just around Aegon, I think the punters are just wanting that green light out of the stable. They may be a little bit questionable around where Aegon's at in terms of form. I've got no doubt he's been working well. I've got no question having a little bit of a freshen up. His last run was on the 30th of October, where we saw last season he had that decent gap between winning the 2,000 guineas, being presented first up over the 1,600 at Ellerslie for the Karaka Classic and doing the job. So there's no dramas there around Aegon. It's just whether he's got that form which he had as a 3-year-old. The decent track, no dramas there, operated on decent surface at Ellerslie when winning the Karaka Classic. So that is the query, and the stable might not know themselves. They might not know until after the race. But with Two Illicit, I agree with BP. If you're on the source at Te Rapa and you're happy to back it at $2.50, $2.60, around that quote for the majority of the race day, surely you reinvest here. You're taking the $3.20 because the stable were happily to inform everybody that there was a query staying at the 7 furlongs. It's now stepping up to 1,600 metres at Trentham, big roomy track. Look, it ran home the second fastest 6'4", 200 closing splits, Two Illicit. You look at the race shape, the first two around the turn, and Show of Roses and also Our Alley Cat quinelled the race. I think if you're on Two Illicit, initially you might have been a little bit disappointed purely on the SP at Te Rapa, but you've got to go again if you're back to Te Rapa and the breeders.
We take the 320. Paul, what are your initial thoughts here in the Group 1? How are you seeing it?
I'm hoping BP's right in regards to the price of Two Illicit, and that we will see a bit of cash flow her way, which will almost certainly push the price of Aegon out. Look, I know things just didn't go his way on Australia. He still won almost a $250,000 in that Hobartville win. He was around a $2 favourite in the Rosehill Guineas. Obviously didn't do much there, but we know that he's got that turn of speed. He's just got that X factor, and with the big roomy straight at Trentham, I think even if he does get slightly back, he's just too close. If he's back on form, I think that price will look very, very juicy. I'm willing to take that chance. So I really like the look of Aegon. I don't think they'd have him down there if he wasn't at least a chance. So yeah, I'm going the other way, and I hope that BP's right, and I hope that we might get a price on Saturday as well.
You're waiting for that $5, are you?
Yeah, I certainly am.
BP, other contenders in the race, I mean, pre-defers there. What do we do with Travelling Light?
I like
Brando
it.
was a big price. So, I mean, $14 Brando, people can't believe that either.
Yeah, and I think that's just on, look, if you've been backing Brando at $2, $3, $4, $5, and you're a fan of the horse, you're falling off your seat this morning while you're having your cornflakes. I mean, when you see $17, and that's why he's moved, isn't it? I mean, he's drawn well. He's a horse that's got a good boom around him. Overall, he has been disappointing this preparation, and I still want to forgive him on his run on the wet track, but should he have still won that race over 1,400 metres against 6 other horses? Yes, he had 60 kilos and it was a heavy track. So I think you have to play the forgive card, but still in the back of the mind thinking, well, you also could have put that field away, even not disliking the track condition. So yeah, there's a query. There is a query there with him, but you have to respect the money. I thought Travelling Light was just a runner that just never got the rub of the green in that race. Of course, in the Auckland Thoroughbred Breeders at Te Rapa. And Ben Foote was ultra confident. And look, I've interviewed Ben a number of times, and the camera wasn't on him when I interviewed him about Travelling Light, but he just had that look in his eye, and he was very short answers when talking about Travelling Light. And it was almost like, you know, he was like, yeah, well, this wins, you know, and was winking away, and you know, it was classic stuff. Now, so, and he's even come out and said, like, he was ultra confident in an interview with Aidan that she was going to win that race, and it just didn't quite pan out, and ran into a couple of dead ends. So I think you want to have her in amongst your numbers. I think she's a big player in the race. We know that she can win here at the elite level at this venue. Miss Tycoon Rose is probably the other one that deserves respect. She's a horse who was started as, you know, one of the favourites in the Copelands, and she's finished in the 4th position. I think she's a horse for a must that are looking to play into the exotics. And then you're sort of lining up Harlech. Is he gearing up towards the Zabel Classic? Prix de Feu, well, you know, Prix de Feu, he always seems to run well in any sort of Group 1 race, doesn't he? I mean, he's just a horse that can run those good placings. Good to see Jonathan Parks back. I think it's another good point we need to make. Good to see him back in the saddle. Is a massive addition to the CD jockey ranks, having Parksy back. So, yeah, overall, I like To Illicit to win the race in front of Aegon. If Aegon does start to push out in price, you could take some To Illicit now at 320 and then sit and hope that she moves. And then if Aegon starts working out to 5.5, well, look, you'd be silly not to have something on Aegon as well at that type of price.
Yeah, no, don't disagree there at all. Is it the last forgive card for Brando if we play it? I mean, you boys have opened it up 17. You know, obviously looked a big price on the eye, but
yeah, it does. Just shows you the quality of the race. Look, he comes out of a horrible race in terms of figures. Last start, the 1400 Open, and behind Stand Tall, and with my figures, they take in the fact that it was a heavy track as well. So, yeah, that's a query when you're heading into the elite company at Group 1 class on the back of a poor performance in terms of numbers. Brando, I know he's got a strong SP. He can be maligned at times, Brando, and that might have been unfair on many occasions. But yeah, look, there was money early doors for him, but he's just eased a touch on Thursday afternoon. Whether he's kind of found that sweet spot of around $12, $14, but the 17, 18 on Wednesday was quickly snapped up. BP, the map in this race, the rail's in the true position. We haven't raced here. I think it's been one meeting the last 2 to 3 months at Trentham. The rail's back in the true position. We may see some sort of bias, well, not bias, but definitely no disadvantage, I think, if you're going to be on speed early doors. Just see how, the good thing about this race, it's at the back end of the program, so we'll be able to assess how the track's playing. But I thought the default leaders were Vigor Winner. Travelling Light with Jonathan Riddell doing the riding here. We know he can be a positive rider, Jonathan. We've seen at times that Travelling Light can be handy and have that tactical speed. Even the Living Classic, she was just off the speed. She may be the horse that sits outside the lead, because I see here there's little pace. And as I mentioned, Vigor Winner looks to be the default leader. Brendan, what's your thoughts around the map? Yeah,
I was thinking Travelling Light. I just got that feeling they're going to be positive with her, because as you said, when she's been at her best is when she's been put into the race and been positively ridden. So I wouldn't be surprised if they look to push forward. I mean, Vigor Winner's drawn out and is a horse who can go forward. So I think naturally that's the horse that's going to roll to the top because of the wide barrier draw and where that horse, you know, is most comfortable and is at his best. And given his best opportunity, he'll go around at $26. You know, they have to try and overcome that. And look, there's enough possibility of that happening because of just how quick he can get out of the barriers, and with the sort of horses in this race that are underneath him, they'll all be, most of them are going to be looking for spots, aren't they? And then To Illicit, look, I'm not saying she's a speed influence, but with her barrier draw, I'd just like to see her use that opportunity of getting into a spot. Now she's drawn 2, just means that she can be a pair or 2 closer if she can than where she's been in recent times. If she has that opportunity of being in the right half of the field as opposed to the back half of the field, I even think that just improves her chances of winning even further.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So what's your final price on To Illicit? Obviously 320, attractable. Where's the bottom price, you believe, on To Illicit, where you say no more?
250, 260, somewhere around there. Yeah.
No, she's going to be awfully hard to beat. Paul, Pops has gone To Illicit. You're willing to stick with the champion 3-year-old Aegon?
Yep, I've got Aegon on top, in front of To Illicit, Travelling Light. And then I thought House of Cartier might just slot in there in the top 4. That Didham stable is travelling along very nicely at the moment, to be fair. I know she's dropping back to the mile after her win in the Fielding Gold Cup, but she just looked full of herself.
Yeah, she's going really well, isn't she?
Yeah, so at $18, I thought worth a little each way go anyway.
Shows you the strength of the field, though, Paul, doesn't it? I mean, you've got House of Cartier 18, Bowden at weight for age at 21. Just Ask Me's coming off a big one, might need a wetter track, but 26. And even Credit Manager 31 and Vigor Winner 31. There's not many you can put a line through, is there?
No, certainly not. What's that? The second to last leg of the quaddie, late quaddie at Trentham. You're probably going to have to go short somewhere before you get to the Captain Cook, I would suggest.
Yeah, okay. I know what you'll be doing. 2 anchors and 2 fields. That's your usual little thing, isn't it? Anyway, okay, guys. No, it's a great race, as we've touched on. I think you guys have covered it nicely, and it's a race I'm really looking forward to. As I am the 4th, Steve, because this is going to have some ramifications around Karaka Million 2-year-olds. The Peach Joinery Wakefield Challenge Stakes Group 2 over the 1100 metres for the 2-year-olds.
Yeah, I think there's 7 runners eligible for the Karaka Million. Headed by Wolverine. Now, change of favouritism here, Thad. We went up with Think Twice on Wednesday at a $2.90 price. It's out to $3.20, Think Twice, where Wolverine heavily punted, as it was on debut, the 2-year-old filly by Tavachi. $3.50, now firm right in the 2.9 best lead. The Racketeer, 6 out of 2 and a 650. Kana, 10 into 9, well played, first starter out of that Peter Didham stable.
Cool,
Gibraltar Rising has that form reference around the current fave, even though it's gone out a couple of turns, 8 to double figures 10. BT, 10 out to 11. Andalis, 11 out to 12. Shares that same price with Wessex. And Bestseller, $26. So, look, they're playing a couple here in terms of debutantes. Kana, the Racketeer, not friendless, but overall Wolverine, a dominant lead, 3.15 to 2.9.
Yeah, gee, they're backed it pretty hard, BP. There's a bit of trial form to work through. There's a bit of race day form. We've gone up with the wrong favourite, but I thought Think Twice was pretty good on debut. How did you see the weight?
Yeah, he was good. I think Twice, I sort of thought that was the right favourite. Purely if you're going on what the horse beat, did beat Sacred Satano, who's then come out and run second to Bright Blue Sky at its following start in the fast track insurance race out of Te Rapa. So immediately that looks like a very good reference. I like how he won. I even thought his trials coming into that race, it seemed to see that he was a horse that was not far off the mark from winning, and that was certainly the case. So there's a lot to like about Think Twice. And look, the same with Wolverine. I mean, look, when you're getting a new ownership group coming in and wanting to be a part of it, that also speaks volumes too. They've paid a lot of money to be a part of this horse and Wolverine, and his win was, he set off them nicely. The second horse, Gibraltar Rising's in this race on the weekend. You can also take a little line off that horse's chances, a horse who didn't throw it away at the same time. And what I'm hearing is that, he's up there with one of the better 2-year-olds out of the Central Districts for quite some time. There is a massive boom on this horse, and that's probably why you're seeing the shift in the marketplace from second favourite to favourite. How do you line up the trial runners? Well, I thought Andulis with an inside draw. I did like his trial. I thought his trial was nice. He's a runner that's got a good reputation around him from the Stephen Marsh barn. They do like him. And if you go off his most recent trial, he won by 3/4 a length. Once he was challenged, he really got away from those couple of challenges. BT was okay too in that same trials meeting. Did go just a touch slower, but sat outside leader and won by 1.25 lengths. So, yeah. Then you've got Kana, who brings that Peter Didham 3 trials, 3 wins into the race too. So super race, and it will make some ramifications around the Karaka Million too, which I know that you boys have released this week.
Yeah, 100% it will. And look, Wolverine Paul continues to be well backed. I think he's $10. It is the filly. Yeah, she's $10 in a Karaka Million. But there's some trial form here. I saw the Racketeer. He was green, but very good. Kana for your man Peter Didham, 3 from 3. So not going to be easy, is it?
Bred by our friend Baz McCallum.
Yeah, I heard that this morning. Was that on the radio? He bred Kana, did he?
He did. Yeah. He's He's very keen on its chances too. I don't know, how do you line him up when you've got there's a wee bit of race form and then there's a whole lot of trial form. I guess I look back to last week. And there was money on demonetisation. We did a $15,000 bet on demonetisation, and the money was good. So when we have a race like this, and it's very hard to match up the race day form with the trial form, I love to follow the money, and the money's come for Wolverine. So, and look, she fought hard down the straight at Otaki to hold off a small field. So she's got some sort of grit about her as well. I like the way that she fought there, and now that the money's come as well, and thank goodness for the boys, it's come early so they can adjust the odds to sort of reflect that. Well, Wolverine goes straight to the top for mine.
Yeah, look, $2.90. The money isn't stopping around Wolverine. Think Twice out to $3.20, Steve. Well, that probably surprises you to some degree not. But I mean, you obviously had Think Twice favourite.
Yeah, I did. I had a clear fave, and that's purely just on figures. Look, I'm not surprised the money is there early around Wolverine. As we mentioned, it was heavily played on debut when it was rated a 41% chance. And look, she showed to be professional in racing traits, and she got the job done. But just on figures, look, Think Twice thus far this season holds the best figure for a 2-year-old, 1 length superior than Bright Blue Sky's listed win at Te Rapa. Think Twice. So look, and you can work some form reference between Think Twice and Bright Blue Sky. The second horse in both those two runners happened to be Sacred Satona. So a nice little link there, just to reinstate that the figure is correct around Think Twice, who did pay from memory around about $7 at Te Rapa on debut. So it was I wouldn't say it was totally unexpected, because it did go into that trial, as BP mentioned, winning Think Twice. But when it goes to Wolverine's figure when winning on maiden class, it was 6 lengths inferior to what Think Twice produced at Te Rapa.
Okay.
Now, I know 2-year-olds can really improve and spike in terms of figures race by race so early in the season. So that's just one angle that we took on board when rating our probabilities. And that's why I thought Think Twice may start fave. So I'll be really intrigued how this betting shapes up on race day, because you do see naturally a lot of money, particularly on first starters. Now, I know the Wolverines had a start, but the likes of Kana, the Racketeer, the early money does come for the debutants, and then it just softens out closer to race start time. So I've been intrigued to see how this betting shape progresses on Saturday. But obviously, I'm leaning towards Think Twice. Yeah. That's how I framed it. But currently, the marketplace is telling us Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, what about this bestseller, Paul, down the bottom, John Barry? See, that's a losing result for us. No surprise.
Wouldn't be the first losing result from the John Barry stable that we've seen, to be fair. Once again, it wasn't the worst. Where was it? At Matamata. She didn't look the worst, and I guess the price is the thing that's attracting at most here. She opened up at 31, now into 26s. Look, you could probably make a case for the whole field if you wanted to. So I let the money make my decision for me, and the money's telling me to look straight to the top of the market and jump on Wolverine for all she's worth.
Give us a second, third, and fourth.
We could do as selections, couldn't we? We just look at the risk manager and see what's losing or what's flashing up in red.
You're doing them a disservice, Steve. You bring so much more to the table, as you know. Give us a second, third, and fourth, Paul, please.
Yeah, Wolverine in front of Think Twice, and then Kana and the Racketeer.
Yeah, okay. Towards the top of the market.
First 4 we're losing on.
No, rubbish. Stop it. That Racketeer was green, wasn't it? But looked like it had some ability.
It just first 2 trials just showed a lack of tactical speed, but I really liked its latest trial when hit the line strongly and through the line, and it was second to a sub race winner and I Choose You. So you can have a little bit of a form reference around that trial in terms of race day, but the Racketeer. There's a lot of horses here that I'll be very surprised if they don't go on with the job. Maybe not as 2-year-olds, but a lot of these, and just in terms of pedigree, look to be real sharp 3-year-olds, including Think Twice. Comes from the family of Stolen Dance and the Buzz, etc. So being by Alamosa, you'd think 3-year-old might be its best friend V2, and what it does this season could be a bonus. But you could say that around a lot of them. The Tavachis, I think, are going to be better 3-year-olds V2. So
intriguing race, BP. How did you surmise it?
Yeah, just quickly on bestseller that you mentioned there. It was a horse that did take some money in that race from memory in that Mascarinto race. And it did go in there with a couple of handy jump out victories. And I know that there was a decent push from a fair few that suggesting that she would run a race. So she drew barrier number 10 in that race. She's drawn barrier number 7. So interesting that there's money for her. Maybe it's because of it's a challenge syndication horse as well. And, you know, as we know, there's a number of punters, a number of owners involved in that, and they're keen to get involved on the $31. But yeah, it would be one to keep safe if you're looking for a back end of first falls. But like you've just said, we've mentioned every runner here as a decent chance in the race. And yeah, I did think the Racketeer's a horse who comes out of that trial quite nicely at Matamata to be a chance. In the end, I went Think Twice over Wolverine. I don't think there's really much between these two horses, and maybe the money and the market move is going to be that telling pointer around which one's going to win this race. I went 1 to beat 7. I thought 3 and 5, 5 and 3 were the other two that I wanted. The Racketeer, with how this horse did a fair bit in that trial, it over raced when the speed evaporated out of it, and then moved into it sort of wide on the point of the bend, and still went through the line when finishing into second position behind I Choose You, who won last weekend, and Duelis as well, runner number 3. Drawn 1, a horse who's trialled up nicely by showing some good barrier speed to be able to plant near the lead. And if he can do all those sorts of things race day, like as we know, it's all different from trials to race day, well, then that's going to put him in a big chance of being a part of that first 4. If you can run first, second, and even third, and you're a Karaka Million eligible horse, you're very likely, especially if you run third, I think, at 9,900, you're going to find yourself holding one of those golden tickets towards the Karaka Million.
Yeah, okay. Good point.
Has there been a horse come out of the Wakefield BP to win the Karaka Million? I don't think there's been a winner, but has there been a horse that possibly finished outside the winners in the Wakefield win a Karaka Million?
Oh, that is a great question.
There's been some gun 2-year-olds winning this race, like Recite and Extra, but a few of them not eligible for the Karaka Million. But
I'm just trying to think when Lisa Ladders.
Oh, yes.
When she's
up
won.
inside.
Yeah, just trying to think of that.
Think about it during the back end of the program. Come back to us.
We love giving
go on your laptop and have a see.
Someone knows what they're doing around here. Thanks, BP. Look, it's an intriguing race. There's no doubt about it, the Wakefield. And look, I'd recommend having a bit of a look at that Karaka 2-year-old futures before Saturday or before this race, especially with Paul's Future Proof, where you do get your bet back as a bonus bet up to $50 if your horse doesn't make the final field. So it's a bit of a no-brainer, really, to have a little bit of a look at that Karaka 2 Million 2-year-old. Guys, we've got a lovely card at Matamata as well. Trentham's obviously the main course, but this is a lovely little side dish. And we'll start in race number 6. That's the J-Swap Contractors, 1,200 metres. Run us through this market.
Yeah, that's Super Pursuit, $3.20, heads to market, Thaddeus. In front of Summer Passage, who resumes here for the Sullivan Scott local at $5. Top Brass, well punted last start when it beat a fave. Money coming in again. $7 Top Flight, now trading 5.5. Equals that third line with Mega Bourbon. Riding the Wave, intriguing runner at $7. You're keen to see what BP talks about that horse. Mr. Universe, double figures at 14. She's All Mine, 21. Manrico, 17 out to 21. And Short Views, also 17 out to 21. So a little bit stifled in betting overall. The best lead I can give off the firm is number 7, Top Brass, 7 into 5.5.
Yeah, okay. 4th last time, Top Brass. Look, good win from Super Pursuit, resuming BP, but it's a nice betting race. Probably could say that about most of the races on Saturday, but this is a nice race, and Super Pursuit our $3.20 favourite.
Yeah, and I think off what he did last time, I think he can be an improver. I mean, I think both Hunty and I have been with this horse a number of times. He just looks to be a real up-and-comer Super Pursuit. And, yeah, I think he's a horse that looks to be on that upward trend once again this season. Look, I know he's won a rating 86 over 1,100 metres in that lockdown meeting, but just like how he's delivered in that race, and that's what we've seen a fair bit of him from last preparation, a touch further. You know, there should be some good pressure in the race. He is a horse that comes off speed in these sprint races. You know, these 12 and 1,400 metre races are set up for him if they do work along in front. and he has a barrier draw where he can just park off it. So yeah, I think he's a nice chance, and maybe Top Brass is that horse that will be able to apply that pressure. Yeah, I think you've got to watch the move with Narajan Palmer, who's riding well, who takes the ride on this horse. You mentioned riding the wave, and I tell you what, the $26 in the railway may not be the worst little play on riding the wave. I thought this horse, the Australian campaign that just seemed to go pear-shaped with riding the wave. But if you only got to go back with what he showed here in New Zealand, his form in some of those lower grade races was electric. And if he can rediscover that form line and get back quickly to what we've seen from him, he'll be a chance over the summer months. He will be. This race, I'm not too sure about, but this might be a stepping stone towards a couple of those big features coming up. So, yeah, keep tabs on him. Keep very close tabs on him.
Yeah, you'd want to be around riding the wave. Interesting runner, as BP and Steve mentioned. Paul, what are your initial thoughts here around the J-Swap contractors?
Yeah, it's very hard to look past Super Pursuit. Finished second behind Levante in the Counties Bowl last year. Was second behind Gold Watch as well earlier in the year. So there's some really good sort of form that's been franked there. Won well, fresh sharp, and he beat Rockin' Horse. What was it? Yeah, and that fresh up win. So I really like the look of Super Pursuit. Thoroughly deserves the favouritism there. I thought Top Brass wasn't the worst. Just got onto a wee bit of a speed battle with Kapanos last time out at Awapuni, and I think we'll see him go forward again, but just with a little more control this time, I think. And if he can settle, then I really do like the look of Top Brass as well. But Super Pursuit definitely on top.
Yeah, okay. And there's some horses fashioning some nice records here, Steve. I mean, you've got Super Pursuit 5 from 11, Top Brass is 5 from 12, Mega Bourbon's 3 from 7. I mean, She's All Mine 6 from 21, Riding the Wave 4 from 12. So there's some nice horses on the rise here, you'd say.
You can get that high strike rate with sprinters. But yeah, I'm bang on. You can get some nice progressive types here, possibly heading towards the railway, as BP alluded on. Just with the fave, first up, Pukekohe. Look, the race shape was slightly against Super Pursuit. The first 500, they went out 28.93, 5.3 lengths above par. So it did favour those horses in that neutral position where it did find itself. But being first up in a fast run race, you can almost feel the pinch in the last 100. And I think this horse did that. It hit the lead about the 150. In the last 50, it just felt the pinch and took away the overall margin. I think it was pretty dominant, even though the margins don't reflect that. So I think natural improvement second up around Super Pursuit. The only box it needs to tick, only box, is the left-handed form. It's had 2 starts left-handed. In particular, one occasion at Trentham where there was a short SP and it ran below betting expectations. So look, astute stable. I'm sure they've been working at left-handed Super Pursuit. That's probably the only concern I have with the horse. Outside that, it's the horse to beat. Just looking at Mega Bourbon, interesting runner, 174 grade, stepping up to open class, just on its 74 grade win in terms of figures, 1.3 above par. Suggests it can make the step up. I normalised the figure to open class. It's got to find 2 lengths. Saying that, this race has to be run to open class par to be able to find that 2 lengths, or happen to win it, or find that 2 lengths to win it. So, yeah, interesting runner in Summer Passage. Well, he won in the state last year, 12 months ago, on his home track, albeit 74 grade. But yeah, he's an intriguing runner. Just want to see where his price finishes up on Saturday.
They backed him when he resumed last start, and he won. Not seeing a lot of money.
He was coming back from Hong Kong on that occasion. And then he ran a bottler in the Counties Bowl a few weeks after that. So it was a little bit earlier in terms of season last year. A little bit later starting off his campaign here. But look, he tailed off at the end of his campaign. Never really was in the mix in terms of the railway, etc. But yeah, just keep an eye on his price, because he's had some quiet trials. In particular, his last trial, he was unplaced, but the jockey was fairly kind on him and was doing his best work through the line. And yeah, Riding the Wave, $26 for a railway. Yeah, I can concur with those thoughts around a chance for a railway. I know, look, the top 2 are going to probably accumulate the majority of that percentage, possibly 60 or 70% of that book, if the form line continues with the top two in the market. But he's not nominated for a Telegraph riding the wave, and he did win down the chute at Flemington, which you'd think parallel, or the most corresponding race we've got here in terms of Group 1 is down the chute at Trentham. So look, there's late noms, and there's a chance we could late nom this horse if, or the connections could late nom this horse if it performed in the railway, but currently not nom for the Telegraph down the chute.
That's interesting enough. BP settle on a top 4 for us in the J swap.
Yeah, well, just quickly on Summer Passage, I know they've been battling with him a little bit. I know he's just had a number of little niggles, and he could be a touch 50-50 for this race as well. So I'll just keep that in mind. Just with where he's at the moment, it just always seemed to be behind the 8 ball with Summer Passage. I mean, he was supposed to start Counties Bowl, didn't eventuate. So yeah, just watch over the next 24 hours, 48 hours, what happens with Summer Passage, because I know when he is right, he is very explosive. So they just might be need to try and iron out a few things with Summer Passage. I like the 6 Summer Super Pursuit. I think he can improve off how he ran last time to the races. I think Top Brass becomes a contender with the weight relief and pushing forward. I want to be wary of riding the wave. It's drawn out in the car park, but look, if this race does set up for him, look for him late and look for him maybe as a rough chance in a race like the Railway. What about Short Fuse? Short Fuse, a couple of runs in this preparation, weight relief. Her form reads better than what we've seen from her already. She was beaten in the Levante race in the Counties Bowl last time out. You know, this is a touch easier than that race, and she still ran a good race. I thought this on her home track, she might be able to run a sneaky race at a big price.
Yeah, okay, $21 Short Fuse, and a little bit of money around for it, Steve.
She's a hard horse to really be confident about because she only has a short sprint, and because of that, they ride her quiet, and she can be a low percentage play in terms of the mat. But they've got to ride her that way because she's just got to be held up, and then bang. So when she wins, it will look spectacular, hard in the mouth occasion, but
maybe drawn 5 might be an advantage, and she can
possibly, and just see how the track's playing, but. That's just be mindful when you're punting her that she can be a low percentage play the way she has to be ridden because she only has that short, sharp sprint at the end of a race. Okay,
interesting. Paul, where did you finish, mate? You were a Super Pursuit man as well.
Yeah, Super Pursuit on top. Look, I got Riding the Wave in for second. He beat Show Roses last year over 1,200 metres and, of course, won down the straight at Flemington. As Brendan said, got the wide draw, but if anyone can get across, Maddie Cameron should be able to do the job. So Riding the Wave in for second, Top Brass, and then She's All Mine.
Nigel Tiley wouldn't have many go around that you wouldn't have $1 each way on, to be fair. You wouldn't like to miss out on a Nigel Tiley runner, surely. Just that, I get that feeling. No comment. No comment. I've got him. Beautiful. Finally lost for words after 15 years is Paul Moati. Fantastic. Righto, team. Race number 7 on the card is the race of the day. They're the Bone Crushers, Steve. Now, this is a wide open market. This is an interesting race number 7. The Mitchell Family Bone Crushers Stakes, Group 3.
You're headed by Dark Destroyer. $4.50, add a few turns to 4.8. Now, the key about this race is the stablemate's been heavily punted. Carmen Line, who was super on the eye when winning on debut at Te Araha, will speak in more depth around his chances. $6.50 top fluck on Wednesday, now trading at 5 and holds roughly 6 or 7 times more money than Dark Destroyer. Labella Beals, 5 out of turn to 5.50. Dubai Diva, 6.50 out of turn to 7. She has the same price with the stablemate and laneway flirting. Rekindled Express, 10 flat. If She Can, 15. Bugatti, 18 with Dragon Biscuit. And Sassy Merlot, bouncing between 18 and 21. And Whiskey Is Best of the rest at 26. So, look, there's one horse probably of note I should mention and go back to. It's number 11, Carmen Line, in terms of the best leads, 6.50 into 5. Outside that, just a little bit quiet on many runners.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Look, you've got the O'Sullivan Scott Perrier BP, and they're screaming it to us at the moment.
Yeah, and look, I think when you line up both of them, and first of all, Dark Destroyer, he's run 5th in the 2,000 Guineas. He bounces out of the Sarton when finishing into 3rd, and he looked really impressive when he won his maiden race, did Dark Destroyer. I still am of the belief that he needs forgiveness in the ground. I think that is his biggest friend going forward. And from what I'm seeing in the forecast, that is not there for Saturday. Now he was beaten 6 lengths behind Nevere on a quick track last time out. I just have that feeling he needs dead 5, dead 4. It certainly needs the cushion in the track, and then maybe if there was further assistance to 6 and 7 is when you're going to see the absolute best of Dark Destroyer. So I think that's one key factor around him that you need to probably almost remember for the rest of your life betting with Dark Destroyer. As for Carmen Line, look, the win was phenomenal, wasn't it? It was a run where probably on the tote it wasn't expected, but look, they thought enough of the horse, and it was very quiet in the trials. And boy, it boomed home, didn't it? It won from a position where you wouldn't think the horse was going to win. I think the money speaks a fair bit as well around the movement around her. And I know there's been some sort of offshore interest for her after her particular victory. So, yeah, that's how I line the two up. I'm with Carmen Line over Dark Destroyer between the two horses anyway for the weekend's race. I think Dubai Diva's a chance. I think we spoke last week about this horse because of a good run behind Imperatriz in the Soliloquy Stakes. She's drawn low. She comes in with a trial victory. La Bella Beals has been doing everything correctly and, of course, bounces out of that Paranui Bay race last time out to the races. But it's an interesting race, isn't it? Because you've got so many of these horses that bounce out of, say, those maiden 3-year-old races and are here tackling this better company just to see where they're at heading towards Christmas. Yeah,
it makes it hard to line up, I presume, from a pricing perspective, because you've sort of got the been there, done that against the progressive types, and are the been there, done that's good enough to hold off the progressive type. So I guess it's sort of quite hard to line up generally.
Yeah, personally, I rated Dark Destroyer a 16% chance, and that was my favourite, almost by default, just to what he had done in terms of runs on the board. So I'm not surprised we're seeing money for like these progressive last start maiden winners, but just through his record in terms of the Sarton and the 2000 Guineas, he went up my favourite at 16%, so a $6 chance. Yeah, it is concerning if you like him and you've already invested on him at the 4.8 price, because I think there's, from what we're seeing in the marketplace, there's a chance he might even touch 550 the short-term Dark Destroyer. And look, BP nailed it. Trip up and down to Riccarton, back in distance. The concern about the better and improving track. Where does he map? He's got a sticky gait. There's just a few negatives around the horse. No doubting his credentials and ability, but just for this race, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a touch easy. Dubai Diva, look, she was down to race twice last week, and both times scratched, including at black type at Otaki. And I'm just wondering, they've had the odd concern around Dubai Diva. There's a ton of gear changes on this filly, including front bar plates, which put me off. I don't mind the concussion plates. When it comes to the bar plates, it is a slight query when it comes to investing. So I'm not sure about Dubai Diva, but I do love the horse. But just in terms of what I've seen and the news and whatnot around her in the last 7 days, I have to be concerned. I'm very keen on Laneway Flirting. I think she was very progressive when she won last start. Her debut win last start, the race shape went totally against her for a leader / on speed. The first 600, 5 lengths above par. So naturally that suits horses in that neutral to back end of the map. She had the audacity to hit the lead at the top of the straight off that hot tempo and pull away. The overall race in terms of figures was 5.3 lengths above par. So it really stood out in terms of a maiden class victory. And the third horse in that particular race has been a sub-winner during the week and did it in impressive style. So I think the overall race will really stand up if you want to just dissect that form going into other maiden races. But in terms of the winner, Laneway Flirting, I think she can make the step up to black type company. And look, she's got a wide gate. What has she got? Barrier...
I can tell you.
Barrier 12. I think Taiki has to be positive with it. Has to be positive from barrier 12. We've seen her lead and be handy in her first 2 runs as preparation. So I think he can take that wide gate from a negative into a positive after the first furlong, put her in a spot. But I think I've got her on top. Just not sure where her price ends up.
Okay, Paul, Stephen Marsh has got a fair old hand in this race. La Bella Beals, Dubai Diva, Laneway Flirting. What's he told you?
As I said last week, you're the only one with a direct line through the Stephen Marsh stable. So you let me know what he said.
What are you thinking, mate?
Yeah, look, I'm having a look at towards the top of the market, and look, the way the trend is happening at the moment, you'd have to say that Carmen Line, she'll probably, if this trend continues, start favourite in front of her stablemate. And I agree with that too. I thought that was a huge run at Te Aroha. She had to sort of like dink and dive in the straight to get it, a wee bit like Tu Wiley was doing for the Wellington Lions back in the early 80s. She just had to do a wee bit, got it to the outside and just went whoosh. And it was sort of against the pattern that day. I think most of the winners that day, they had to be in the lead or in and around the lead as they came around the turn. And she was well back in the field, had to come off heels down the outside. I thought that was a super, super run. The O'Sullivan Scots, they've got another one here, I think. I'm really, really keen on a Carmen Line. So I've jumped on already because I don't see her drifting too much before race start time. Outside of her, yeah, Dark Destroyer. Obviously, he had some quick sectionals in the Sarton. I think the last 8, 6, and 4. And almost the last 200 as well. So he really, really did finish off nicely in the Sarton. You mentioned Marshy, La Bella Beals, that running behind Parianui Bay, I thought was good. And the 2 wins before that were impressive as well. But yeah, I really like the fact that the money's come for Carmen Line. And I can understand why. I thought that run was just immense at Te Aroha.
Yeah, it's worth noting when it's up against the stablemate, isn't it, Paul? I mean, that really is a decent lead. You've got the stablemate favourite, and all they want to know about is the second favourite. You've got to take notice of that sort of thing, don't you?
Yeah. I'd hope the bookies would too.
Yeah, you'd like to have thought so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
They're reacting, just they're getting there anyway. They're getting there, yeah, biding their time. He's gone Carmen Line, BP. Where did you settle on the Bone Crusher?
Yeah, I like her a lot. I think she's a really nice horse, and we could see a fair bit more of her over the next few starts. So I'm with her, keen to have something on her, in fact, in this race, Carmen Line. In front of La Bella Beals, I think this horse's Paranui Bay reference is a good one. I know it's coming back in distance from 15 to 1,400 metres, but look, she's done enough for me to say that she can be amongst the numbers in this race. And then I'm sort of around Dubai Diva and Dark Destroyer. Look, I think you still have to have the horse in there because of what he has shown us, with his effort in the Sarton and that, despite those red flags around him. So, yeah, 11, 7, 9, and 1.
Boys, all with Carmen Land. We might be a bit of surprise, Steve.
Yeah, just on Carmen Line.
Sorry, what did I say? Carmen Land. No,
Karaka 3-year-old classic.
Yep, that market's out as well.
Yeah, we've framed that market. Headed by Navia, $2.40. Who's a Group 1 winner, as we know, the 2,000 guineas, wanting to do what Aegon did 12 months ago. I don't think you should be afraid backing a horse that maybe has only won 1 race when it comes to the 3-year-old classic. And we saw Amada Linia. Now, I know she was top draw, but she didn't win her maiden race until the first week of December last year and then progressed on to a Karaka Classic. So what I'm saying, horses like Carmen Line, even Laneway Flirting, or maybe horses even outside this race on Saturday that have won their maiden in the first half of December, they can progress towards a Karaka Classic and compete against the likes of Navia, On the Bubbles, etc. We saw it last year. So there may be some, what you could say, overs. Hard to really know what they are in the futures betting, and you won't know until final field. But a horse like Carmen Line at $12, if he came out or she came out and did the job here on Saturday, her price will be in single figures in the short term, and who knows where it could finish up. Yeah, okay. No, point well made. Exactly right. So, yeah, there's plenty of improvement in a lot of these runners still, and I'd say that money for Carmen Line is all you need to know, with an eye on potentially a classic 3-year-old race over the mile. So, exciting prospect, Carmen Line. The boys all with it. Right. Gee, how long have we been going? Decent old stretch. We better start thinking about knocking it on the head for another week, but we can't do that without touching on best bets. Let's start with you, Paul. What happened last week, and where are you going this week, please?
Scratch last week, so
you got a reprieve.
So the boys got a reprieve. That's right. So yeah, this week, well, we just talked about it. Carmen Line.
Yeah, right.
Yes, please. I'll have some.
Bit of the week, $5, no problem.
Done.
And dusted around Paul Mawadi Man Billy standings. Bet of the week. He had Max Schnell scratched on Te Araha last week, wasn't it? Okay. BP, what happened to you last week, and where are we going this week?
Oh, would you believe my horse bled?
Oh yes, I saw that Elite Street, wasn't it?
Elite Street, and I just wanted to just be all in on the point of the bend with Elite Street. Just travelled into it super, got everything that I thought was going to happen in terms of being 4 wide with cover, released the brakes, sprayed Rowilla, and then something had to be wrong because from the back of the field they went past the horse, and yeah, unfortunately, look, he's run third, but they bled from both nostrils. Has Elite Street, so we'll be out for 3 months. But yeah, keep tabs on him. Western Empire goes around in Perth on the weekend as a very short price favourite, backing up from the Railway, of course, goes around about $1.40, $1.35, somewhere around there. Pikey's on. Right, that's not my best bet, by the way. I'm going to go to race 1 at Trentham. I really like one here by the name of Midnight Mass. This horse impressed me with how he won in that lockdown meeting out of counties, trained by Nigel Tiley. I think he's got his hands on a very good horse here, and I'm keen to be amongst the son of Prasia. Lee Thinnis aboard. Nigel Tiley trains first race out of Trentham. $4. Yes, please.
That's in the TAB Bonus Back Blitz Premier 3-year-old race at Trentham. Of course, we've got the Bonus Back Blitz on this Saturday. There's a bonus back promotion on the first 4 races from Trentham, Matamata, and Ascot. So something a wee bit later in the afternoon, early evening.
Yeah, okay. So we can have a crack at Midnight Mass is what you're telling us, Paul, and no harm, no foul. And it's your man, Nigel Tiley.
There we go. Well, it's almost like the stars have aligned.
Again. Right. Midnight Mass for BP. Where'd you go, Steve?
I'll go race 1 at Matamata on Saturday. They're 1865 1500. Caroline Reaper was keen on her last Saturday. They scratched her. I don't think there's too many dramas around it, but I loved her first up run over 7 furlongs. She got back from a wide gate. The race shape was against her. The first half of the race, 10 lengths below par. So it really did suit on-speed horses. She was doing her best work at the line and through the line, recording some nice figures late. Caroline Reaper, she's got barrier 5 this time on Saturday. Hopefully she can be a few pairs closer. Steps up and trips slightly, 14 to 1500. Look, she was good enough to compete against some group class 3-year-old filly races last season. And I like those horses that come up next preparation as an older horse contesting 65 grade. I think it's a nice profile for a horse going forward. So Caroline Reaper currently sits equal favour at $4.50.
Okay, don't mind that. Did you find anything about the Wakefield into the Karaka Million? And
a little bit confused. I think the Wakefield used to be raced post-Christmas over Wellington Cup Carnival.
That sounds right.
And it used to be the Wellesley prior to Christmas. So a little bit of confusion. And if that's right, yeah, no wonder you haven't seen too many winners come out of the Wakefield into the Karaka Million. Yeah. So there's been a couple of winners out of the Wellesley.
Yeah, right.
Go on to win the Karaka Million, which from memory was placed around about this time of the year. One of them being Rude Awakening, I think, won a Wellesley back end of October and then won a Karaka Million. So, yeah, a little bit confusing around the Wakefield and where it used to be placed.
Yeah, okay. They probably tried to line it up with the Karaka Million a little bit better, maybe. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
the field stacked up. I mean, yeah, it's a very good field at Wakefield, that's for sure. Okay. Thank you, Paul, for your efforts. As always, enjoy Trentham. You'll be trekking out there on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, bit of work to do out there, but I'll get on with it. And see you back in the office next week. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, that Matamata race 1 will be a bonus back as well. So we can back Steve's best bet with a bonus back as well.
Yeah, it's just like, well, it is. We're getting close to Christmas, so we're just handing out gifts left, right, and centre. As you boys tend to do. Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Pops. As always, mate, thank you for joining us, taking an hour out of your busy schedule. What are you doing on Saturday? What are your movements? You won't be will anyone be on course at Trentham for Saturday, Captain Cook Day? Yes, yep. Bevan will be there on the weekend, so look forward to that coverage. And then, of course, what's next Saturday is Waikato Gold Cup, which is always a really good meeting, isn't it? I mean, we know the Counties Cup Day was a real big pointer towards some of those big features coming up, or certainly that meeting will be as well with the Kalai Zuzu, the J Swap. So a really good race meeting coming up. Make sure you get your vaccination pass on your phone and hop along to the races, because that's going to be another key part, is being able to see some people back at the track. Yeah, 100%. You get your vaccine pass. Well, it just gets better and better here from now to Steve. I mean, BP mentioned
Waikato Cup Day, which will be a banger as it always is, and we just keep climbing towards New Year's and Boxing Day, don't we now?
Yeah, we're just starting to see that consistency in tracks as well, which is easy to work out in terms of form reference. It was a little bit Mickey Mouse, muddling old track conditions in October, but now we're starting to hit November and December. We're getting some consistency and some genuine tracks, which we should operate on Saturday.
Unless it's New Plymouth on a Thursday.
Yeah, abandoned.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
a shame, isn't it? It's beautiful down here in Wellington. It was hosted.
They made sure Alan Sharrock's best bet came in though, and then they'd
Alhambra lad.
yes, Alhambra lad got the job, and then called the meeting off.
Managed to get that race through.
Well done, punters.
No, very good. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, BP. Thank you, Paul, and thank you to you for joining us once again on the Leg Up.